We have our beautiful San Marcos River, which calls so many people to San Marcos, and that's why a lot of people come to college here and stay, because they just love the river and the environment. The people are really nice, where a lot of us are laid back, and so it's just a great place to live. Yes, I've seen issues before where people were not happy about something, but this was of a much greater magnitude.
It seemed like a real show of solidarity. Like there were all walks of life there participating and trying to prevent the data center from being built. It was very inspiring to me. Right now it's affecting us in ways like, oh, we can't swim anymore, which sucks. But in the future, you know, if that trend keeps going, it could be very dangerous, you know. I believe that Texas, from what I've seen, you know, this could be false, but it's projected to run out of water in the 2030s. You know, supply will equal demand. And after that, who knows? And that's with current projections, so.
There's concerns about artificial intelligence and people talking about possibly taking their jobs. There was one young woman who said, I'm an artist and I'm a designer and I'm a website creator. And I don't have work right now because so many people are using AI instead. And so that broke my heart. And so we don't know if the ones that were planned to come here will be AI. We don't know. But I do want to clarify that the city was not actually voting on a data center. Okay. What was before us to vote on was light industrial zoning, because the land was zoned for housing. So in order to put in a data center, he needed to change it to some kind of commercial use, and light industrial was the category that he needed. One of the things that you hear about is that data centers use a lot of water. And that was true years ago. We all know how hot a computer gets, even a little iPad. Imagine a huge complex full of nothing but computers, and especially the AI ones that run even hotter. And so they do need to be cooled. But what has happened in the last few years is that data center builders are now using something called a closed loop system. So there's pipes that go all throughout the building, but it's the same water that's being circulated through. It gets cooled down again and circulated through again. So to load up that closed loop system in the grand scheme of things doesn't take a lot of water. It would have taken less than half of one day's use for all of those houses. So the amount of water used for that data center was actually not a whole lot, because the rest of the water that would be used were break rooms and restrooms. But the water that it takes to create the power for these data centers, that's what was of concern. Okay. So when people were talking about the amount of water used, they were talking about the water used for the power.
Hi, I'm Ron Epperson, originally from Virginia, but I've been living in San Marcos since 2018. I have been involved in machine learning, which is an earlier name people used for AI, going back into the 80s. So I've been an avid user of it, and then as it has sucked all the oxygen out of the room over the last 3 or 4 years, I've started reading about it and learning about it, talking to people, and learned more about how it works and what it's good for, what it's not good for. I'm worried about this tanking our economy because so much money is going into this. When the reckoning comes, how much money is going to get lost? I think things are starting to change though. OpenAI has now canceled all their UK data centers. Just last week, they canceled all their UK data centers. I think it's because they can't raise money to do them. I'm having a hard time figuring out, again, why are we doing AI large language models the way we're doing it, with this giant arms race of all these companies spending hundreds of billions of dollars to build giant AI data centers and fill them with chips that are obsolete within 5 years. So why are we doing this? And I haven't found a good answer to that yet. It doesn't seem like there's a business model that makes sense, but is that worth our whole economy? No, it's not. It's not, it just isn't. The thing I'd ask yourself is, do you really need this? And I've never really been tempted much to play with large language models. I mean, And AI is being rammed into every little nook and cranny of our tech lives. For what reason? I don't use it. It doesn't add any value that I can see. Okay, that's not worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Hundreds of billions of dollars. It's just not. San Marcos in one word.
Marvelous. San marvelous.